Hey everyone, it's Lisa Mears here. And in today's video, I'm going to be making some Halloween tags, which will be perfect to add to Halloween treats or even gift bags for Halloween. So the set that I'll be using today is the Boo to You stamp set and coordinating dies from Pretty Pink Posh. Here's a look at the stamp set. You get a large pumpkin with all these little Halloween icons that make up the shape of the pumpkin, such as ghosts, spider webs, moons, candy corn, and there's also some larger stamps in those icons as well. And the coordinating dies have all of the dies to cut them out. So I went ahead and stamped out the large pumpkin with all of the icons, and I'm going to color it up with my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. I stamped it onto some Bristol Smooth cardstock because that's the paper that I use when coloring with my Zig markers. I think the blending works really nice on that paper. And I'm going to start out by coloring all of the pumpkins, and the color that I'm using is the orange, and I'm also using the blender to blend that color. And what I love about coloring all of these little icons is that really you only need one marker to color them, and then either a blender marker to blend them or a water brush. And I'm using the Zig blender, which has a blending solution in it to blend those colors. So I colored all of the pumpkins with the orange color, and now I'm moving on to the candy corn. I'm using the orange for the middle part of the candy corn, and then the top of the candy corn is my yellow color. And the very bottom, that's supposed to be white. I do use a light gray marker to add a little bit of shadow so that it doesn't look so flat. Of course, if you wanted to keep it white, you can do that as well. Next, I'm going to color up all of the moons, and for the moons, I'm using my yellow and the blender. I'll move on to the cat, and I'll use the dark gray, just outlining the cat with the dark gray marker, and then I'm going to come in with my blender marker and then blend that out. That way the face is not so dark. It has that light gray to the face so you can still see the eyes, nose, and whiskers. I colored the eyes and the mouth for the pumpkins in the yellow. And for the ghosts, I'm using the light gray color again just to outline it and then blend that out with the blender. Again, that light gray color is usually what I use when I'm trying to color white, just to add a little bit of shadow. I did add some pink cheeks to the ghosts using the Sugar Almond Pink. Next, I move on to the bats, and I'm using the violet just to outline the tops of the bats, and then I'll bring that color down using the blender. There's also some spiders in there. Those are a solid black from the stamp, so I don't have to worry about coloring those, but I do color the spider webs up, and I'm adding a green color to the spider webs. I didn't want to leave those black. I wanted to add some more color, so that's why I chose the green. So once I finished coloring them all, I used the coordinating pumpkin die to cut that pumpkin out. And I love how large it is. You can use this on an A2 size card, and it would fit a good portion of that card. You can also make this a standalone shaped card and even a tag, which is what I'm going to do with it today. But before I make it a tag, I am going to add a little bit of color to the edges. I'm adding a little bit of green here at the top, and then I'm going to add some orange all around. And I'm just using my ink blending tool just to blend some color to the edge of the pumpkin. Next, I'm going to work on the sentiment, and I'm just taking some orange ink and adding it to a piece of white cardstock. Now, there's no reason here why I'm using a different orange ink than I did with the blending of the pumpkin. It's just that I had worked on the pumpkin the day before, and when I started working on the sentiment the next day, I pulled out a different ink. So, in case you noticed that it was different, there's no rhyme or reason for that. Okay, so after I add some orange color to this little strip of cardstock, I'm going to place the sentiment Boo to You and stamp it down. Now this sentiment is part of that Boo to You stamp set. I'm just stamping it in some black ink, and then I'm going to use the coordinating die and die cut the sentiment from the cardstock. I will add some double-sided adhesive foam to the back of the sentiment and add it to the center of the pumpkin. So I'll set that pumpkin aside, and I'm going to work on another pumpkin. This time I'm going to be using the Pretty Pink Posh layered Argyle stencil to stencil up some cardstock, and then I'll use the pumpkin die to die cut it out of the cardstock. So this stencil is a 3-layer stencil. It has some diamond shapes on one of the layers, and on the other 2 layers there are some diagonal lines. Did add some pixie spray to the back of the stencil and then added it to the cardstock. This just allows the stencil to be held in place with the light tack that is added to the back of the stencil. I'm using the Distressed Oxide Twisted Citron ink to ink up this first layer. This is layer A, and this is all of the diamond shapes. Next, I'll remove that first stencil and I'll position the second stencil. The second stencil and the last stencil have the diagonal lines, so I'll just line it up, and then I'm using the dried marigold ink to ink up those lines. So this is a very light orange, almost like a peach color. So once I finish with the second stencil, I will remove that, and then I'll add the last stencil, which this has diagonal lines going in the opposite direction. And I'm going to use the same dried marigold ink to ink this one up. What I love about this stencil is that since it has 3 layers, you can actually use those 3 layers individually, or you can use them together. So if you just wanted to have a background with just the diamonds, you can use that layer A and just add the diamonds, or if you just wanted to have diagonal stripes, you can do that. Or if you wanted to use both of the diagonal stripes together, you can do that as well. So there's lots of different options with this stencil. So here's what it looks like with all 3 layers. And now I'm going to use the pumpkin die and die cut that out of the cardstock. So I'll be using the die cut pumpkin shape for another tag, but you can totally keep that cardstock that was die cut and use that for a card. You can actually make that for a shaker card, just adding some foam and acetate and adding some shaker pieces inside that pumpkin shape. But I'm not going to do that in this video. Instead, I'm making another pumpkin tag, and I used the Boo script die from Pretty Pink Posh. This is also a new product in their Halloween release. I die cut it out of black cardstock, and I'm going to add it here to my pumpkin. And off camera, I stamped out another ghost stamp. This is also from the Boo to You stamp set. It's one of the larger ghost icons. And I did color that up off camera. So I'm just adding the ghost so that it's a little bit behind the word boo, and then adding the word boo. I also stamped and colored some of the stars that were also part of this stamp set, and I'm going to add those to the pumpkin as well. I'm just going to snip off a little bit of this bee because it does extend beyond the pumpkin. Now I'm just going to use a hole punch, and I'm going to punch a hole in the pumpkin stem on both of them because I need a place to add my string since these are going to be tags. And then I'm going to add some string to each one of those tags. Just tie that in a knot there. And then you can add these to your Halloween treats. I think these are super cute. I love using these as tags. So I added them here to some Hershey bars. These would be cute gifts for coworkers or friends, or even if you wanted to give these out to trick-or-treaters. You can also use these tags on gift bags. So if you had more treats to put in a gift bag, maybe you were having a Halloween party and you wanted to give little Halloween gifts. But I think these are so stinking cute. So I'll have all product links listed in the description box below. So if you are interested in purchasing any of the products, I always appreciate when you use my links because it does help support me. As always, if you like this video, please click that thumbs up button. And if you like videos like this and want to see more, be sure you click that subscribe button and turn on your bell notification so you'll be notified when I release new videos. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.